What's going on, everyone? It's Justin here, and today let's go ahead and talk about the iPhone 13 and everything that we know so far. So I've been using the iPhone 12 Pro Max for the past 6 months as my daily phone ever since it came out, and I can tell you that it is one of the most complete iPhones to date. Everything just works very well. Video, photo, the raw photo mode is great, display size. I also really like the flat design, and the battery life has been really good. So I've kind of wondered, what is Apple going to do this year for the next generation iPhone 13? And what is going to be like the trend in smartphones moving forward, whether Apple's going to be playing catch up and adding some features that are already on Android devices, or they're going to make a big change. And it seems like it's going to be more of an incremental or like an S iteration once again. If you guys like to stay up to date with all the Apple news as well as videos on products as soon as they come out, we get them right away. So just make sure you subscribe to the channel, drop a like on this video, and also leave a comment down below about your favorite upcoming feature of the next generation iPhone. So for starters, we're expecting 4 models once again. You've got the Mini, the standard model, the Pro, and also the Pro Max. And the LiDAR is once again going to be exclusive on the Pro models. One thing is the iPhone 12 mini actually hasn't sold that well. It accounts for the majority of Apple's 20% decline in smartphone sales, and it is also alleged that Apple has actually cut down its orders on the mini model by 70%. One of the most exciting features that I've been waiting for a long time for, though, is ProMotion displays, and that is supposed to be coming to the iPhone 13 Pro and 13 Pro Max models, and it is going to be an LTPO display. So in terms of battery life, it is still going to be very efficient, but it is not only going to bring features such as a fast refresh rate of 120 Hz that we've already seen on iPads for many years and also on many Android phones, but at the same time is also going to bring always on display functionality that we've seen on the Apple Watch. So I know a lot of people are not really going to notice a big difference between the 60 and 120 Hz. It is a 16 millisecond versus 8 millisecond response time. But personally, after trying both types of devices and seeing the screen capabilities of the iPad, it is just a small touch that I'm really looking forward to, especially as someone who scrolls around a lot all the time and like email and like the general UI stuff. So I think like in a time where there hasn't been too much smartphone innovation, it is a feature that I've wanted to see Apple do for many years now. The always-on display is a functionality that we've also been waiting for many years now, and it is something that is seen on the Apple Watch, but what that does is that it actually turns the refresh rate of your smartphone down to 1 Hertz. So it doesn't consume any power at all, and you can have like basic information such as like the time, the date, maybe your calendar, and some light notifications. But I think that is just a nice feature to have, and I personally have been looking forward to it for many years. The next big thing though, or relatively small thing hopefully, is going to be the reduction in size of the notch. So the iPhone right now has had a notch size that is pretty much unchanged from the iPhone 10 when it was first introduced. And it is definitely not the smallest notch out there. And with smartphones nowadays having like a full display that goes all the way across, it is something that is cool and looks really good. But personally, I still don't really like the fact that some phones don't have a notch at all. Because when you're grabbing your phone, you want to be able to see which side is up or down, and it can easily be confused a lot of the times. So I still don't mind having a notch in the middle, but the iPhone 13 is going to have a significantly smaller notch size, and the earpiece is going to be moved over to the top. There's also information out there to Apple making refinements on the graphite color. Personally, the graphite color is my favorite. The navy blue is a color that came out brand new for this year, and I also really like it, but apparently the graphite is going to be over to more of a matte black finish. Although Apple has tested jet black on the iPhones after they did it on the 7, and with it being one of my favorite colors, the fact that they're going to be going with a matte black finish once again is something that I am personally so excited for, because even though I used to like everything in white, and I know a lot of my interior design goes with the white color scheme, I personally love matte black for anything that I can get it in. There's also rumors out there that Apple is currently working on an orange or bronze color, but it has gone through a few stages of testing, but it seems like it is not actually going to be a very likely option. I personally don't see orange as being a very popular color, and I know a lot of times Apple's real-world colors look way better than they do in the renders, but that is just something that I wanted to mention, and I feel like if they were to bring a color back again, a green option would be the one that I hope they do. So now moving on to some of the specs, the iPhone 13 is supposed to have a 5nm plus TSMC made A15 processor. And this is going to focus a lot on the efficiency and the overall form factor, which is supposed to be smaller. And although it's going to bring more power and contribute to the camera capabilities and everything, One of the biggest improvements overall is going to be the battery life, especially on the iPhone 13 mini. With the physical form factor of the chip being smaller and integrated into the logic board, it is going to allow for a bigger battery across the board, but as I mentioned, the iPhone 12 Pro and the 12 Pro Max already has pretty good battery life, whereas the 12 mini seems to fall behind the most in that area. Before we talk about the next thing though, I want to give a huge thanks to the sponsor of this video, Ting Mobile. The next generation of Ting Mobile is here, and whether you're a low data user or need unlimited, Ting has the perfect plan for you and your family. Get talk and text for just $10 a month, data from $15, 5 gigs for $25, and even unlimited from $45. Check out their plans and see how much you can save. The best part about it is that pretty much any phone will work on Ting, and you don't have to sign any locked-in contract. You'll have access to Ting's award-winning customer service and nationwide LTE and 5G coverage. You can always bring your own current phone and phone number to Ting with no strings attached. So if you guys want to go ahead and try it today, there's a $25 credit by using my link that is on screen and in the description section below. A huge thanks to Ting once again for sponsoring this video. Some of the more incremental updates is also going to be the Wi-Fi 6E capabilities, and also the fact that it's going to have improved 5G chip from Qualcomm, the Snapdragon X60 5G modem. Apple did switch to Qualcomm chips on the iPhone 12s, but honestly, I've got to say, when it comes to reception overall, I don't find that my iPhone is anything impressive, and if anything, I know there's like a lot of variables. I may have noticed that it is a bit of a step back in terms of reception compared to previous models, so that is just something that I sort of observed, but whether or not it is anything to do with the chip or not, I'm not really sure. With the introduction of Apple MagSafe on the iPhone 12 lineup, it is a great feature that has a lot of accessories for it, whether it is car mounts, camera accessories, charging, the wallet cases, but there's definitely always room for improvement, whether it is the magnet technology and also the expanded capabilities and possibly reverse wireless charging that we're hoping to see in the future. It seems like Apple is working on a MagSafe battery pack, which is nice to see. Apple hasn't done a battery pack in quite a few years, aside from the ones that people really made fun of, but it actually wasn't a bad product at all, and I personally used it myself for a few years. But a MagSafe battery pack that also has reverse wireless charging would be a really nice accessory to see, and is something that I would definitely look into picking up because I am a user of backup batteries all the time. So when it comes to some of the improvements that we expect in the camera area, some of which are ones that Apple may not have focused on as much in the iPhone 12, but are now putting attention to on the next generation. I feel like with the 12, they really did focus on the main camera. They improved the video quality slightly as well. They've also really focused on low light performance across the board with the night mode, and they've also added the raw photo functionality on the iPhone 12 Pro and 12 Pro Max, and that has been great features that I use almost every single day. But on this year's iPhone, we are expected to see portrait video for the first time, which starts to utilize the LiDAR capabilities a little bit more beyond just AR-related software and also portrait mode photos. Obviously, we're gonna have to see how well this works when it does come out. We know LG did try that, RIP to LG, and it was okay, but relatively gimmicky. But I feel like Apple is going to do a very good job because they don't usually add a new feature until they have it right. And with the LiDAR, I believe it is really going to take advantage of that in a more practical level for the average consumer. The LiDAR sensor is also going to bring improved capabilities both through hardware and software on the edge detection and also detail, and that is all things that we do expect over the years with the optimization through software and also the improved hardware. We're also expecting to see sensor shift stabilization, which is going to improve the stabilization in video performance and also in photos to some degree, but also software-based locking, where it is able to lock onto an object and improve the stabilization further, especially when you're trying to just take a stable shot handheld without too much movement. But if you guys saw our video last year where we went on a helicopter and tested out stabilization on an iPhone, I feel like the stabilization on Apple smartphones is already amongst the best in the entire industry in terms of how natural it looks. And I'm always just very impressed by how it's able to kind of figure out the algorithm of software and the hardware stabilization on situations where you're walking around and also in others where you're just standing still and trying to hold it in its place. We're also expecting Apple to improve the ultrawide camera on the iPhone 13 significantly. It is apparently going to have an f1.8 aperture as opposed to the 2.4 that we currently find on the smartphones, and a 6P lens versus the 5P. that is going to give you better image performance, but specifically in low light mode, taking an ultra-wide photo should look a lot better. With astrophotography being a huge selling point on a lot of smartphones, especially ones coming from China in the past year, the iPhone 13 is also expected to have an automatic Astro Mode to allow you to do like long exposures, and a lot of the results coming from smartphones have looked really good. Some of the most recent information though has been on the hardware and just some of the small changes to the form factor of the iPhone. It is expected to be a little bit wider, a tiny bit taller, as well as a larger lens, larger LiDAR sensor, and a rounded square casing that runs off onto the body framing for the lenses. The phone is also expected to be 0.26 millimeters thicker, but the width and height are pretty much the same. For the iPhone 13 and 13 mini, the lens is going to shift over to a diagonal setup. The camera mechanism is going to be about 3 millimeters wider and 0.14 millimeters shorter, with no introduction of LiDAR for this year as well. It is also expected that all models of the iPhone will have their volume buttons, ringer, and SIM card tray on the side shifted upwards, and the power button moves down by a little bit, just around 1 millimeter or so. I know a lot of these features that we talked about are specifically on the Pro models, but one thing that I'm really hoping is that raw photo capabilities make it to the entire lineup, because I feel like it is something that has really enhanced or brought the photo experience of a smartphone in your pocket to the next level. And the amount of like detail and dynamic range from an iPhone is still impressive. In terms of some features that are more of like down the road, I feel like the ones for this year is going to be the in-display fingerprint sensor. So last year we kind of expected the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro to have like 120 Hz ProMotion, but as we got closer to the launch, those rumors were kind of dissolved. And it seems like Apple is still working on a fingerprint sensor that is in display, but it is not going to be in this year's model. And I think that is going to be something very exciting, because even though Face ID is very useful, with this year being a situation where a lot of people are wearing masks, it does kind of ruin the functionality a little bit. And so having like a fingerprint sensor built in, like we've seen a lot on Android devices, is something that I really want to see come to an iPhone, hopefully by next year at the very latest. But otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to hear about any other news about the new Apple products as soon as they come out and we have them in the office, make sure you have post notifications on, and I'll see you all in the next video.